music.
Ah,
Yeah,
good one. So we're waiting a few minutes for Philip.
that's enough. Hi,
Enough? No, I liked it.
you like it?
Yeah.
How are you doing, Dumitru?
Great. Great. Looking forward to have one more chat. Tuesday
Yeah,
chat.
we have an interesting guest today, Philip.
We will have,
Yeah, we will have.
I think.
He'll join in a
Let
bit.
me just write a message to make sure he's joining.
So, 1st of July, the first month of summer is over. Usually, June is mixed, not so good for crypto. Are you looking forward to more laziness or to more action in July
I'm really
compared to
looking forward to not so much upside, let's say
Mhm.
July and August.
Why?
Um, Not necessarily an explanation, but this is what happens usually every year. Hey, hello, Philip.
Hi, Philip.
Hey guys, how's it going?
It's good. We're
Great to have you
live
here.
on X
Oh,
and
we're live
YouTube.
already?
Yeah. So just
Awesome.
give me a heads up.
Yeah. Did you
So
guys is the live stream from your account so I can go ahead and retweet it?
yeah,
Yeah,
Okay.
let me just um, see if it's pinned or
Oh, I see it now, yeah.
yeah. Okay.
so maybe a small intro. Yeah, like hello, everyone. All of us are here. Welcome to our weekly Tuesday crypto weather forecast. I'm Dimitru, my colleague is Victor, and we have a special guest, Philip from SEI Network, or should I say SEI Foundation, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
So every Tuesday we explore crypto market updates, news from the past 7 days, and with Philip here, we'll weave in some insights from the SEI Network and SEI Foundation as well. So thanks for joining us, Philip. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. How about you guys?
Yeah, well,
This
good. We were just talking about Dimitri's perspective and expectations from July. It's the 1st of July, first month of summer is already over. Too fast, I might say. So, what's your feeling for July? What's your expectations are?
Yeah, great question. I'm cautiously optimistic, I would say, just
Okay.
in terms of macro. I think that with just like the Circle IPO and now the Robinhood announcement, we're starting to see a lot more kind of institutions and major TradFi players dipping their toes into these crypto-enabled products and services, and it seems like the market reception for these crypto-enabled products and services is quite hot. So I think these are typically optimistic signals that we see, and I'm pretty optimistic about where the industry is heading.
Okay. Yeah, we
Yeah,
have we have.
if you see
Go
the
ahead.
news, the updates, and what's happening overall in crypto, I would agree with you, Philip. But if I'm looking to previous years, almost every year we had July, I mean, third quarter, like let's say July, August, usually are not so good in terms of market movements. I know people are in vacations, not so much capital around probably. So we see the upsides and the capital inflows, bigger ones, starting with late August, maybe September or October even, October, how we call it, right?
Hmm.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
Yeah.
let's say
maybe I'm wrong.
the market changed quite a bit. I would say. I mean, it's hard to compare to previous cycles, previous years, and we see discrepancies like BTC is going very well, and some alts as well, but like the alts in general not so good for this time in the bull cycle. And then maybe I'm thinking now like June was okay-ish kind of, but the pressure on the price was very, very big, I would say, because of of the, all the wars and trade wars and bombing of Iran and
Mhm.
whatever. I mean, it's maybe in July we'll see not a huge jump, but kind of BTC, the price isn't, will be free of all this pressure and it will grow further.
Yeah,
This is my hope.
Bitcoin and Ethereum, they had their best Q2 since 2020 with gains of 15 and 18% respectively. So we are debating if they can sustain this momentum or not. Yeah. What on the safe front, Philip? How is it? The if you can talk about market movements, of course. I know that sometimes people from the teams are not allowed to.
Yeah, I won't necessarily comment on market movements, but in terms of the ecosystem development and a lot of the kind of major upgrades, it's been one of the busiest months. So I actually kind of went in to this quarter or the end of the quarter thinking that the summer would be a more, relaxed time, and it's actually been quite the opposite, where we've had just like an onslaught of very exciting developments and announcements. Almost
Tell
like
us about them.
yeah, so actually on my in my pinned tweet, you can see a bit of a recap that covers some of the major developments that have been happening within the ecosystem. I can kind of name off a few, and then I'll let the listeners go out and check it out for themselves. But the first was Circle disclosing a large token holding in, say, in their IPO filing. So that was something that definitely kind of brought a lot of exciting attention to say. On top of that, the Wyoming Stablecoin Commission. So this is the state of Wyoming in the U.S. is going to be the first state to issue their own stablecoin backed by
Nice.
the U.S. dollar, and they have chosen Say as a candidate for launching that stablecoin. And in that process, they actually ranked a lot of the leading layer one and layer two solutions, and Say ranked near the top, surpassing Sui, Avax, Ethereum, XRP, and a lot of pretty big names. So we were very happy with how Say was assessed in that scoring process. And we'll continue to see, I think, more institutional adoption as we kind of continue to develop these relationships and just present what we're building here at Say to all of these institutions, which are very eager to partner with blockchains. The ETFs are also very exciting, both in the US and in Europe. So Canary Capital filed for a US Say ETF with SEC, and there's also already live ETP, which is just a exchange traded product in Europe, where institutional and retail investors can now get direct access to Say. I think this is like a broader theme across the industry where we used to just operate within crypto Twitter within a very kind of small subsegment, and now the entire industry is kind of expanding its reach and the access that other individuals have. So through improved regulation and just a wide kind of array of different partnerships, we're able to really increase just the institutional access. And with that institutional access, we really start to see adoption start to accelerate quite exponentially.
Okay,
Is
cool.
say yeah, Victor, please.
I wanted to ask if this assessment that the Wyoming state did is public and why did they choose say? Do they say exactly like the reasoning? Do they explain what
Uh,
the basis for their choice?
Yeah, so that investment is public and disclosed in their IPO filing. So as they, transition to being a public company here in the U.S., they have to disclose all their holdings. With that, they disclosed, I believe it's Say, along with BTC, Sol, Sui, and ETH. I think were
Are
the
we
like.
talking about the Wyoming issuing
Oh
stablecoin or
no, sorry, I was talking about Circle.
okay, okay.
The
No,
Wyoming
go
stable.
ahead, finish that thought, and then
Yeah,
we'll talk
so
about
they have to
Wyoming.
disclose all of their holdings. So in that, we work closely essentially with their team and are following all of the exciting things that they're pushing out with the CCP, and their other kind of products and services beyond just the native stablecoin. In terms of Wyoming, so Wyoming also operates very transparently and
Hmm.
in the public. So all of these kind of rubrics and scoring metrics are public. you can access them directly on their website. It's kind of like one of the benefits of this like blockchain transparency that a lot of these institutions are leading into. And I think they have finalized the candidates. So now it's just about the next step in the process to actually launching that stable coin. And I think, we'll see a lot of other states and institutions, funds within the US and abroad start to follow suit as they see the success and just access. Before it wasn't necessarily viable for a lot of these organizations, but now with the increased, regulational clarity, we're starting to see that, across the industry in a very rapidly evolving way.
Yeah, but that's an interesting trend. Why would a state need its own stable coin?
Well, I mean, being a stablecoin issuer has a ton of benefits for whoever goes out and issues that stablecoin. For a state like Wyoming, it actually can make a lot of sense in terms of kind of operational efficiencies. So at the state level, even at the federal level, we don't even have to get to the federal level and the intricacies that goes on in managing and running a government organization and all the subsidiaries that exist. But even
Mm.
for a state like Wyoming, there's a ton of different kind of stakeholders or like participants that run all of the different governmental organizations, and the transferring of money is,
Mm-hmm.
if you saw how they do it today, and even not just not just
Today,
Wyoming or not just
yesterday,
state
10
institutions.
years ago,
They're sending
very
checks. You
complicated.
got to go to like, the cashier check. It takes a week or a month for your funds to settle. And it just like makes no logistical sense whatsoever. And you would be in awe like in how many organizations still operate this way. So it's just the efficiency unlock is drastic. Like this will save
Mm-hmm.
them a ton of money and a ton of time in running their government, subsidiaries and organizations and workflows much, much more efficiently. So just from like a operational standpoint, this is going to
Mm-hmm.
be a huge unlock for, the companies and the governments. And this is where I've always seen like the clear use case. Obviously stable coins have, that killer use case, and we'll continue to see a lot of different organizations and governments start to lean in as they realize just the economics behind the money they can save on payment processing, for example, which is
Mm-hmm.
a
Mm-hmm.
huge part of their expense.
And you are labeled, I mean, say is labeled as a, let's say, American company, right? So like they have you have access to every kind of state initiatives, or you'll be able to be added to some investments inside the US for institutions, right?
Well, yeah. So, say the blockchain is, there's a lot of different organizations that contribute to the blockchain. Say Foundation being one of the primary ones, and Say Foundation is a U.S. nonprofit with our headquarters in New York. That's the organization that employs me. So with that, we do have a lot of ties within, the broader kind of American crypto scene. And our BD teams and even our legal teams are very active in DC and kind of other areas around the different kind of participants that exist within the industry to build these relationships, explore potential opportunities to work together. It's definitely very top of mind for the team.
Right. So we talk about stable coins, we talk about Circle and so on. There is, I don't know how to call it. I would say madness, meme coin madness, right? It feels like it's had its peak and it will go away, and it's something else will start to appear, like different narrative. But we see now like Bonk Fartcoin like surging, rising 100%, over 100% only this week. And I've seen that you also had an initiative, right? Say community meme contest. So you wanna, let's say, you don't wanna miss this ride and onboard as many users probably, and liquidity from from this market to the Say network. So how do you see this meme coin frenzy? Is it sustainable? And what's the plan for the Say network to let's say attract these users to your platform?
Yeah, so if you look at meme coins, like and break them down into their like first principles, essentially, what you have is a group of passionate individuals that have a shared belief in something. So I think that's the most interesting part of meme coins. where you see these vehicles, which are the actual tokens, kind of represent, you know, the passion and shared identity that a group of individuals have. The issue with stablecoins, or not an issue, but one of the main characteristics of stablecoins is the you know, very frequent turnover. Essentially, the majority of stablecoins have very short shelf lives. So you know, people will identify with a certain community, certain coin, and you see that shift quite quickly. But the core fundamentals of stablecoins and this
You mean
belief,
meme coins?
oh yeah, meme coins, excuse me, this core kind of like
It would be very odd if stable coins would
yeah,
have
yeah,
a
yeah,
slow,
yeah. So
a short shelf life.
what I was getting at is that, you know, the core nature of why meme coins exist in the first place is, I think, represented across a number of different things, both in the crypto industry and outside, like, you know, just brand association and a lot of things where people identify with things online. And we're continuing to see that trend evolve. In crypto specifically, it's been interesting for me personally to see kind of the evolution of like, you know, the NFT cycles and then kind of transitioning into meme coins and then starting to see even that interest transition to more, you know, I guess like different types of tokens and different types of vehicles to express that self identity. So that's kind of just like my personal take on meme coins in general. I'm always interested in seeing, you know, how Fartcoin is trading and all of these other tokens, even Trump and you know, the other ones, to just get a general sense of kind of like the community sentiment across those specific you know, demographics.
Yeah. And you have a contest. You had a contest this week, right?
No, I don't.
Meme
I'm
contest.
not sure which contest you're referring to.
I've got some information here. Sent
It
from my
might have been
intern.
hosted by like a
Maybe.
community or something. There was no contest from the foundation.
Okay, so maybe it was something in the community. And
Yeah, maybe one of our ecosystem projects. I'm not sure.
yeah. Anyway, so you had also a V2 upgrade,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
Enhancing scalability and the new architecture.
Yeah.
So how does this position say as the fastest or one of the fastest layer one blockchain?
Yeah, so V2 has been live on mainnet for several months now, and the most like pivotal thing about V2 was the parallelized EVM and SEI's EVM compatibility. So since V2 launched, I believe it was in October of 2024, but I might need to fact check the specific date. You know, we've seen ecosystem development across the core you know, sectors of SEI's broader ecosystem, whether it's gaming, DeFi, you know, AI consumers start to really explode. So what V2 unlocked was bringing SEI's performance from the network, you know, capabilities, performance, and scalability to the wide kind of array of EVM developers. So really the way of thinking about V2 is that it combined, you know, the best of Solana and Ethereum, where we had, you know, throughput, scalability, uptime that rivaled that of, you know, Solana and Sui, but made it come accessible and compatible to the wide array of EVM developers. I think the EVM network effects, especially now, are really starting to come into fruition, where you see just like the wide array of different developer communities start to have these secondary and tertiary effects that bring in a ton of, you know, builders, applications, community members, creators, and that has been a massive unlock to get, say, to, you know, all these all-time highs that we're experiencing now across TVL, on-chain volume, and just like ecosystem activity. Looking forward, we have Say Giga, which a lot of people in the community kind of present Say Giga as Say's fire dancer moment. So this is the most ambitious upgrade proposed to the network by the Say Labs team. It introduces a multi-proposer and a bunch of other very technically advanced things, which will continue to push Say to be the most performant EVM blockchain. With that, it, you know, brings in a lot of novel research consensus, different applications that are going to really push the design space for what's possible on the EVM. So that's specifically what I'm most excited about. So with Say Giga, it will unlock 5 gigagas, which is essentially another way of measuring throughput versus TPS, but the equivalent of TPS here is 200K transactions per second. So with that, this is something that the, you know, EVM kind of design space has never seen before, and it will unlock a number of new applications across, gaming and DeFi specifically, that will be able to really, bring novel use cases that weren't possible before. The clear kind of example that's been dominating a lot of mindshare on crypto Twitter has been CLOBs, so center limit order books. And we actually have one that's building on Say right now in beta called Monaco. So you start to see a lot of these applications that maybe were only possible on Solana now start to deploy on EVM compatible chains like Say. And, that's something that's very much so exciting a lot of different, audience members, whether they be developers or users.
Yeah,
Tell
if
us a
you
little bit about, sorry, Dmitry, about this app, Monaco. What is it actually?
Yeah, definitely. So so Monaco on Say, also Monaco Protocol, will be a central limit order book on Say. It will be essentially like Radium on Solana is a good example of something that just
Mm-hmm.
exists in the backend. Like users won't interact directly with Monaco, but
Mm.
all of the different aggregators in exchange will essentially source liquidity from Monaco, as it will be the most efficient source of capital on Say and hopefully across the industry that will give the best rates. And this will kind of continue to unlock different use cases as different protocols on Say, even games on Say, are able to tap into Monaco's liquidity and fuel their use cases. Like the gaming example is an interesting one where you have a game that has a lot of in-game assets, where the liquidity can actually sit on Monaco, and it can allow you to have real-time transfer of value within that game. Without you even knowing what's happening on the back end, but in your in-game experience, there's no lag. You get your the value transfer happens immediately, and it allows these games to really push on user experiences that weren't in the past possible on blockchain tech.
Okay, okay. And gaming, DeFi, do you see our interesting or priority directions for say?
I wouldn't say necessarily priority, but another one that I haven't mentioned is DeSci. So DeSci has been one of, I think, the not underappreciated, but I think one of the still early sectors where you see these like real world use cases that can like clearly leverage blockchain technology start to emerge. One clear example is like 23andMe. So I'm not sure if you guys saw
No.
Say Foundation's effort to try to acquire 23andMe that went bankrupt. But essentially, 23andMe is kind of ancestry database where individuals can pay to access their ancestry data. So you
Mm.
can see where your grandparents are from, your great great grandparents, and you get access to this data, which maybe should belong to you because it is kind of your data. But it through this centralized entity, and there's various other entities like this, which kind of paywall or just restrict access to this sort of data. Here, I think you see a very clear use case for why blockchain technology can really drive these specific use cases forward, in the sense that imagine a future where you can own your healthcare data and your ancestry data, and if any insurance company wants to use your data, they can go directly to you through a platform that's built on Say, and pay you for access to your data, cutting out the intermediaries that might own your data. And this is, I think, going to continue to become a huge concern when it comes to privacy and data
Mm-hmm.
ownership. I think we're already starting to see it a bit with AI, where AI is accessing some sources of data which either might be proprietary, or they might need to pay a large sum of money to access that. But the real thing is that they're not paying the individuals; they're paying the other organizations. So this is kind of where you start to see. I think a lot of individuals want more sovereignty, and it should be an interesting kind of topic to continue to track, both in the U.S. and outside the U.S., where access and ownership over your own data will continue to become a top priority.
Yeah.
yeah, but I think you're right. People want more sovereignty on their data, but at the same time, a lot of people are just lazy, comfortable. They don't want to go and see every offer they have about acquiring their data. So
Of
most
course.
probably they will just rent their data to a company who will sell it on their behalf.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
more convenient, right?
Yeah, that would be possible as well. The important part is that the individual is seeing some of that capital because it
Yeah,
is their data. Yep.
Yeah,
exactly.
that's interesting. At some point, like a while back, maybe 3 4 years, this topic was very popular, and kind of now it's
Hmm.
not that visible, like owning your own
Yeah.
data and focus on privacy. uh, it's interesting to see the resurgence of
Hmm.
this topic and use cases that we can have for them.
Usually we see resurgences or this topic being reactivated is when some crisis is happening, like
Yep.
an exchange is getting defaulted
Yeah.
or some funds are stolen. So you have to own your own Bitcoin, own your own crypto, don't trust it to an exchange. So this is when, or Ledger has some issues and all people are afraid, oh, Ledger is not safe. So this is when, for a moment, for a brief moment, people understand this issue and they wanna own their own data, but after a certain time, you just get tired of doing this and they're becoming lazy again,
Hmm.
and they forget and they're letting their data go again out of their hands.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's because it's not convenient yet. But if
Yeah,
we will have a solution that is both sovereign and convenient, we would choose this one. It's a no-brainer. Okay, so guys, we didn't talk at all about the news that happened in the last.
let me say one. It's
Go ahead.
interesting. It's spicy.
Okay, we like
Sam
spicy.
Bankman-Fried, he had an appeal. Uh, so the former FTX founder filed a new appeal claiming a conspiracy involving manipulated evidence in his trial. So he's trying to keep his saga in the headlines still. So what do you think? Why is he doing this? What's the impact? Maybe he thinks that because of a new administration, the judges will look in a different way at his case. That's why he's doing this, or just he wants attention.
Seems like the latter, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, uh, I think he saw that this administration is more lenient on this kind of uh, of crime, let's say it like that. And we've seen that the founder of Silk Road, his sentence was commuted and he was freed after a lot of years. So we see like a general trend of having more understanding towards people that do new stuff, novel stuff, and kind of maybe make some mistakes, but a lot of them are not necessarily due to bad, um, I don't know, bad, bad, how, what's the word for bad intentions? Let's say it like that. It's more like lack of experience, it's not built with the intention of doing bad thing. It's like a consequence of being lenient, maybe a bit lazy, maybe not having experience in running this big huge organizations and with all the due diligence that is needed and stuff like that. And yeah, I mean, it makes sense what he does, and he feels, I'm sure about that, he feels like a victim because his sentence is so it's like disproportionately big towards every other conviction that we've seen in the crypto world
I mean, his
until
co-founders
him
or
and after that as well.
the co-founders or how they call vice presidents of the company, they didn't do any jail, right?
Yeah,
Only
I'm
him.
I'm not sure exactly if all the processes are finished in FTX's case. All the cases are finished, but yeah, I mean it's not only about FTX or the other like high profile case that got like a big sentence is the Celsius founder.
Yeah,
It was like 10 years or something like that, but still it's not, I mean for FTX it's his life is finished basically, so he would actually try everything he can to,
yeah, makes sense.
yeah, makes sense. Why not trying? I mean he doesn't have what to lose from this action.
So, do you want to add a new update or some news you've seen? Interesting.
Yeah, I've seen something interesting. The Federal Reserve announced it would remove reputational risk from its bank supervisory examination programs.
What does it
And
mean?
uh, I think this is, I mean, it's an important, for me at least, mindset shift and like cultural thing as well. You remember like a few years ago, like 2 years or something like that, when we had like the banking crisis and a few banks defaulted. We had a situation in New York where a bank had good financial standing, but
Yeah,
its license was removed and it was bought, or I don't know, closed, only due to this kind of
ties to crypto.
reputational shit, but it's not clear what exactly is it.
Yeah, we had a strange law that it's not quite public, and you cannot see all the details, but let's say it's like a custom. Yeah, if I'm saying it judicially right. So because they had ties with crypto, they had to eliminate this bank,
Yeah,
and they found a reason to do this at the time.
yeah. So uh, this is a good step in normalizing the relationships with people and companies that do business in crypto, and of not not imposing reputational risks on people that work in this field. Because yeah, we all know it. I mean, people look a little bit strange when you are telling them that you work in crypto. Some see it in a good way, but a lot see it in a shady way because all they hear about Bitcoin is like drugs and illegal arm trafficking and stuff like that.
Money laundering
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah, yeah,
everything
yeah.
else.
All the headlines. So yeah, it's kind of an acknowledgement that this this field, this economy is serious, and yeah, it has its place in the bigger market.
It's changed. Now it's not money laundering and I don't know cocaine. Now it's Trump, BlackRock, and
Yeah,
this stuff. So it's
yes, yes, yes. Meme
different level.
coins.
Yeah,
So the stereotypes change as well. But look, it's less negative now, so it's a win in the medium
yeah.
and long term. So what else do we have? So basically, what this change really, why is it important, is because banks can now make crypto business decision based basically on their risk management and their assessment of the markets, and not having this reputational risks that, I mean, kind of, it might, in the past, this risks could have had real impact on their operations, on people wanting to join them, or on clients wanting to remain their clients. So that's gone now. Okay.
Have you seen Mark Zuckerberg's selfie?
Selfie?
Yeah.
No,
Have you
no.
seen it, Philip?
No.
So Meta CEO Mark posted a fake Bitcoin tattoo selfie on Instagram, and it sparked lots of discussions, memes. He later admitted it was a prank, but I'm not so sure about it.
So is Meta preparing big news for us?
Yeah, why not? Maybe they will invest uh, part of their profit in Bitcoin as a reserve,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
as many
I
companies are
mean,
doing
I,
it.
I could see it coming because they are quite open towards trying new stuff in the open, and kind of jumping in the pool and seeing if it goes or grows. So uh, I could see it coming. And they had, if you remember, guys, they had this initiative. They wanted to launch a token like back in 2021 or something like that. and they couldn't do it because it was blocked by regulators. But they already kind of had this mm, uh, taking the initiative in the blockchain field. So why not?
What do you think, Philip, about Mark and his crypto initiatives,
I
potential crypto initiatives?
I think that he's shown how innovative the team can be and that they'd explore all of these other things. So I wouldn't count it against the team. I'd be interested to see stuff roll out.
All right. So, Victor, do you have something interesting there?
I'm looking. I mean, we didn't have a lot of news in the last week.
Very, yeah, silent week.
Yeah, and the news that we had is kind of the same stuff repeating itself, like more regulatory approvals, like moving closer to adopting like a few important pieces of legislation that we talked about several times, like the Genius Act and the Clarity Act, the two big pieces of legislation. So maybe we can talk about that, Philip. Does this help you or affect you in any way? Like these clarifications, like
Yeah,
legal,
definitely.
yeah?
Definitely. Yeah, yeah. This helps, I think, the entire industry and just like
Mm-hmm.
having more clarity. It leads to a lot more institutions and kind of non crypto native organizations starting to explore these like crypto enabled use cases and products. But yeah, guys, I do have to jump, but it's been amazing, chatting with you guys. I appreciate you guys having me on.
Sure. Thank you for
Thank you, Philip, for
joining.
joining. Looking
Yeah,
Awesome,
see
forward
you
guys.
to see you
around.
here again.
See you.
Bye. Du-du-du-du.
Da-da-da-dum.
So, uh, another.
No, fuck with Genius, stable, coin
Yeah,
hack.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
tired
yeah.
of thinking about it.
Let's move on to the spicy shit.
So
So,
I have
go ahead.
not necessarily news, but interesting data which came not so long ago
Mm-hmm.
regarding the crypto hiring.
Mm.
So the campus platform, okay, it's an organization, reported a 30% increase in crypto job placements with demand for blockchain developers up 40% year over year.
Wow.
So what they're saying is something is brewing out there in the backstage. We're not seeing it yet, but if companies are hiring, it means that we are developing something. It means that
Mm-hmm.
we'll see more projects, probably more developments. I mean, a 40% increase this year since last year.
Yeah, and uh, this, I mean, when this indicator is growing, this is like a clear sign of there is demand, there is real work going on behind the scenes. So it's kind of another confirmation, maybe, of the viability of market. And it's interesting as well to, yeah, we discussed several times how the nature of the bull cycle kind of changed, and maybe we won't see an alt season as we've seen up until now, with a lot of new projects launching and like a lot of testing, a lot of failing, but also a lot of growing. So maybe to put it that way, like um, a mass launching period for projects.
Now, I
Maybe,
still cannot believe that there will be a bull market without an out season. I mean, I cannot comprehend it.
yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, for me as well. But what I think is that will the difference in numbers will be way different. In way less projects will launch, I think,
Why? Because there are
because
more money. Maybe if there will be more liquidity, why less projects?
it will. Mm, let me put it this way: we'll have a lot of projects that will launch if maybe the tokenomics and the launching ways change, and there is some new. There is a problem with launches, I think, because the tokenomics favor precedes. Uh, People need a reason to invest other than believing in the project, and I don't see these reasons now for a lot of the projects that are launching. That's why
Yeah,
I think that we'll have less launches, but with higher valuations, higher capital, maybe better use cases, maybe. But we'll see if this change, like the maybe we'll have a new paradigm in the project launching, as we had like launch pools in the last bull market that kind of changed a little bit the perspective and the way project launched.
yeah, but we have meme coins which are attracting the liquidity. Until we kill the meme coins, we cannot announce it probably.
Yeah, actually, I've read the other day the liquidity is over week is going lower and lower in all that is meme related. So
Okay.
yeah,
And is it going to Bitcoin or is it going because the alts are not growing?
I don't know exactly. I mean, I don't know if people share, but we've seen some movement in the alts, but like no new blood, only old old projects that grow a little bit, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, so why do you think companies that buy Bitcoin have their shares growing?
Why? Because Bitcoin is growing. If Bitcoin will go down, their share will go even more, let's say, a bigger downturn than Bitcoin. Um, but the expectation is that in the future, a lot of companies will do that. So the first companies who invested in Bitcoin will have a big advantage because their investment will be very valuable in terms of the price. And if they invest billions and billions, it's a big number. If you invest 10 billion, maybe from their reserves, they'll have 20 billion in 3 4 years. So it's a 100% ROI in 3 4 years. Very good for a company. So if this is the case, if people are betting on this in the markets, that's why the company is seeing like more valuable maybe
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
because
it's
people invest from expectations. They don't invest from present term, right? They see
yeah,
look
but
in the
kind of
future.
it, the prices of the shares grow at a premium. I mean, they grow in percentage wise more than BTC is growing. That's interesting to follow. It's
Yeah,
like
what I'm saying if I don't know if Bitcoin goes to 75K,
mm-hmm,
strategies share will fall not uh, how much is it 30% as Bitcoin fell, but it will fall maybe 60%.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
it's exponential on the downside and on the upside.
actually, I mean I remember that their shares fell more than BTC fell during the last bear market, but I don't remember exactly now as we talk about how did they perform during that bear market. Yeah,
I think strategy will enter S&P 500 in the next
yeah,
days,
yes. I mean they are close and almost certainly will.
and this is good for their shares. I mean, it will grow. Usually,
Mm-hmm.
all the companies
Yeah,
grow
you
when they
you
enter the
get
S&P.
you get picked by a lot of index funds, that's ETFs
Yeah.
that buy S&P 500. So
So this will help them
buy
having
more
even
Bitcoin.
more cash and buy more Bitcoin.
Yeah, good for Bitcoin. Okay, the last topic that I thought about us discussing today is the becoming Fed Fed Reserve. meeting in the coming days. So the conversation is, will Jerome Powell be sacked, and will we have a new Fed secretary that will lower the interest rates? What do you think on this topic?
As far as I know, Trump doesn't have the legal ability to get him down from his position. This is as far as I know. So he has to wait until the end of his term,
Mm-hmm.
which will be last year. Sorry, next year.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so no, he cannot.
Okay. But I mean, maybe he cannot legally. I'm not sure exactly if he has ways in which he can or not remove him from office. But he can put pressure. He can start putting like public pressure on him, and
Yeah,
this
he can.
in a lot of, very often this leads to a person kind of cracking
Resigning.
and yeah, resigning.
Yeah,
But
maybe.
interesting conversation here is maybe not only this, but when or how. It's not
But
very clear on what basis, on what grounds they don't lower the interest rate
it's quite clear.
for so
The
so long.
inflation is not growing, the jobs are okay, the
Yeah,
economy is
I mean
okay.
everything looks okay.
What are they saying is there is a lot of uncertainty because of a trade war, so they have to wait a bit to see how it will affect the economy and then to decide. This is what they're saying.
Yeah, it's interesting to see because like the last, I don't know how many, 3 4 meetings all had relatively good data, and I mean they could have grounds, solid grounds to lower the interest rate. Maybe even as a sign that we're going in that direction. So it's good. We're good. We're in a good spot.
Maybe, but even if they don't ease the the rates, Trump administration just passed a bill of injecting $5 trillion into the economy. So, okay, the purpose of reducing the rates is getting more liquidity in the markets, right? Because they are stuck in deposits or treasury bills,
Hmm.
whatever, because the interest is high. So when it will
And
be
people
lower,
don't
a lot of
take
money will
credit.
go into the market.
That as well.
Yeah, a lot of money will go into the markets, and there will be a lot of liquidity. People will invest, people will spend, and so on. But if the government uh, creates an inflow of 5 trillion into the economy, it does that without needing the Fed to intervene.
Yeah. I mean, in a way, it's the same thing,
The same
bringing
thing, but
more
just
liquidity.
they're using another tool to do this.
Yeah. Yeah. One aspect of lowering the interest rates is getting more liquidity from deposits and stuff like that. But another is for easing the access to credits for consumers and for
Yeah,
businesses. And I mean,
this one as well.
this is important as well. Okay, so do you have other topics, ideas that you want to discuss
Maybe
for
not
this?
topics, but just some interesting facts.
Go ahead.
Controversial NFT auction, digital trash sells for $1 million. An NFT
Interesting.
labeled digital trash, a pixelated garbage pile, fetched 1 million at a Sotheby's auction.
This is from 2021.
Yeah, I was like, what the fuck? NFTs are still alive.
NFTs are still a thing.
Robinhood's micro crypto futures. So, I mean, they launched a micro crypto futures contracts for BTC in it, allowing retail investors to trade with only $10 minimum. So, in this way, they expand the access for retail investors, small retail investors.
Hmm.
Uh, what else?
like fractionalizing the BTC price in a way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
XRP jumped 12% after US court clarified its non-security status.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe this one, Bitcoin faucet fraud exposed. A popular crypto.news Bitcoin faucet was found distributing fake BTC generated by clone sites, scamming over 10,000 users out of $2 million.
Hmm. So
There's,
how did it work?
yeah, I'm not sure. I couldn't find the details, but I really never cease to amaze how these scammers invent something all the time. They found ways to trick people.
Yeah.
If they would put this their mind to do something useful, maybe they would do even more money.
Well, I mean, maybe they do something useful as well. I mean, you
Ah,
can't
okay,
say
just
that.
a side job.
Yeah, this is like a hobby,
Yeah,
They find vulnerabilities and can't help themselves not to just.
it's like being in the mall, in the, I don't know, store, uh, and seeing a very nice cloth without any security, how do you say it,
Tag. Hmm.
tag, and I just dress it and just go outside.
Yeah, something like that.
Even if you have a lot of money to pay for it, you just don't want
Yeah, it's yes. We can put it like that as well. Okay, so 1st of July. Uh, let's hope that this month. Yeah, I really have this feeling that I mean it was June was too lazy. I expect July to be
to. More
more
lazier.
more action.
No,
Yeah,
more even lazier.
even lazier.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Good. Then see you next week. And yeah, thank you everyone for watching. See you around.
Yeah, thank you everyone. We had a special guest today. Maybe we'll have another one next week.
Yeah, we have.
Stay.
We already have.
We already have. Okay,
Yeah.
even I don't know. It's a surprise for me as well. Uh, so stay safe and trade smart, everyone, and have a nice week ahead.
And don't be lazy.
And don't be lazy.
Okay. Have a great day. Bye.